Hey everyone, it's Andrew Guiant from Simply Vegas and the Guiant Luxury Group. And I'm going to make a video today about the state of the real estate market here in Las Vegas and kind of trickles around across the entire country. I don't think it's exclusive to Las Vegas. Now, there are situations that are unique to certain cities or certain, locations in the US. This is a general video. I mean, I'll mostly be talking about Las Vegas, but you can kind of take this into, the other regions of the country, and it's all gonna kind of fit in and make sense for each individual location. Of course, there are anomalies. There are some things that don't fit into this, but as a generality, they all are. So we're gonna talk about the state of the real estate market. We're gonna cover home prices, interest rates, is there going to be a crash or not? And then more importantly, the point of this whole video, at the end, I'm going to reveal when the best time to buy a home is, regardless of your situation. So, I've taken some notes here. I've kind of outlined what I want to talk about. Again, I don't normally do videos like this, so I apologize if it's a little bit discombobulated. It shouldn't be. I should be able to stay on point, but I want to get all of my points across and just talk about what I'm seeing in the market. Also, I'm sitting here at an open house today waiting for some guests to arrive. If I'm interrupted and if I have to stop and start again, that's why. But yeah, I want to kind of kill two birds with one stone, make some videos while I'm sitting here at the open house. I think the interest rate conversation is going to be eye-opening for you, and really, the problem with a lot of the market and almost anything today in the world is news and social media. And we grew up with news and we thought we could trust it, and for the most part we could. News was just that. It was news. Them telling us what was happening in the world, what was happening around us. And, it was a delivery system of information. And then news became financially relevant, meaning, all of a sudden it was how many eyes can we get on this news segment or channel, how many people are watching, how much can we sell those commercials for. And that's when things started to go the wrong way, in my opinion. And with that, we've kind of exponentially grew this whole selling views, right? Selling space. I mean, if you look at any of the social media outlets, any of the news outlets, really anything visually, I mean, movie theaters, I mean, it's all there. Maybe not so much movie theaters, but everything else. But it's basically ad revenue, right? The YouTube channels, the Instagram, the Facebook. Why are these companies able to pay creators for making content? It's because they're going to stick ad space in there. They're going to give you commercials during that video. On Facebook, you're seeing it so much now where they'll show you, they didn't used to do this, but you'll see it part of a video, they'll stop, go to a commercial, you're timed out. I mean, YouTube has kind of always done it. But the bottom line is that, people are making money off of getting clicks, getting views, catching your attention. And with that comes a lot of negativity. It's very easy to sell negativity and sell, doom and gloom to people online. They used to call it clickbait. It's not so much clickbait anymore. And again, I'm a creator, so I don't want to get too technical with these terms and what they mean. But clickbait used to be, something that caught your eye and made you want to click it. And now clickbait is more referred to almost a bait and switch, where they're going to show you something, you're going to click on it, and then they're going to deliver you something else, or it's somewhere in that range. But the bottom line is that eye-catching headlines, especially Las Vegas. Let's talk about Las Vegas specifically, right? for a while there, it was tourism's down, Las Vegas is dying, Las Vegas is dead. You know, there was videos out there, which I actually did a debunk video for one of these, you know, creators in Las Vegas. I think the video had 4 or 5 million views in the first month or two. And I'm getting calls where people are saying, is Vegas dying? Is Vegas dying? And, you know, there was a lot of misleading information. And of course, they're trying to create views. They're trying to create hype. They want to get people on there so they can make money. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what they're here to do. And the new one is Lake Mead. Is Lake Mead drying up? Are the water levels down? What's going on with that? And in fact, you know, I'm going to touch on that a little bit later in this video. Let me make myself a note here. We'll talk about Lake Mead a little bit later here, and the Las Vegas water supply as well. So there's your catchy headline. But yeah, I mean, it's been market crash. It's been Vegas is empty and there's no tourism. It's Lake Mead is dry and there's no water, you know, and all of these things are great for headlines and great for interest and people clicking and scaring people, you know, emotion, causing, you know, emotion in people. And the bottom line is a lot of that, you know, there's some truth to all of these things, right? Yes, tourism has been a little bit down. I mean, the pandemic hurt everyone. I mean, every single, you know, outlet across the country and pretty much the world. I'm not, you know, I don't travel the world and see, you know, a supermarket in Germany, right? But the pandemic hurt and it changed a lot of things in our world. And so there were reactions to that. And yes, Las Vegas tourism has been down a little bit. And there's some reasons for that, you know. I mean, the price is getting too high, you know. Back in the day, it was like the Wynn, the Bellagio. These are like high-end, you know, hotels and resorts, and they cost more, and the drinks are more, and it's more money to sit down at a table and play, you know, craps or play blackjack or whatever it is. And you know, the free parking, everywhere was free parking. And then somebody decided, hey, I think it's either MGM or Caesars, but that's not saying much because they pretty much own the entire strip. But someone said, hey, we're going to charge for parking. And everyone thought, ooh, you can't charge for parking. No one's going to go there. And then they start charging for parking and they're making a ton of money basically for free. All they did was took something that was already in place, which was people parking, and they just started charging them for it. And then they could give out these free benefits like, hey, if you're a local, you could park at Caesars for free, or you could park for 3 hours for free. And then it's attracting the locals going, oh, well, we could park here for free still. Long story short, everyone jumped on the bandwagon. Now you got to pay for parking on the whole strip, you know? And same thing with food and drinks. It was like, wait, we can charge $22 for a drink? People are still going to come here and pay for it? They're not just going to, you know, save up their money and go to the Wynn for that experience, which in my opinion, the Wynn is by far the classiest and most high quality resort casino on the Las Vegas Strip, just if you want my personal opinion. The service there, the quality, the expectation is just over the top, and it really is worth every dollar. And I think all these other casinos raising prices and everyone kind of gouging and trying to grab as much money as they can really helps the Wynn, because they're kind of on par with the other resorts now, and people are getting that exceptional service, that exceptional level. And this is not an ad for the Wynn by any means. Go wherever you like. I don't care. Just saying, to me, the Wynn, the drinks, the service, the atmosphere, the quality of food, everything there. I mean, it's just top quality. So is tourism down is my point. And yeah, it's probably suffered a little bit. I mean, Vegas went from, you know, $2.99 buffets where it was all you could eat, you know, or a steak and egg breakfast for $5.99, you know, and now you're $100 a person wherever you go. I mean, it's just kind of is what it is. That might be a little high, but I expect to pay, you know, between $150 and $200 for two for dinner pretty much anywhere you go on the strip. So yeah, is tourism down a little bit? Are they hurting? No, they're not. I mean, Las Vegas, and we're going to talk about this later with the water situation, but this town is built on tourism. I mean, we have the most people coming in and out of any city in the world daily, and these people have their finger on the pulse. They know exactly how much they can charge for a drink. They know exactly how much they can charge for a room. They're not stupid, and it's not just some guy sitting in a, with blindfold on saying, hey, just charge $500 for a room. Like, they know the metrics, they know the crowd, they know all of these things. Has it elevated? Is it not really a cheap vacation anymore? No, absolutely not. But that's just the Las Vegas experience. I mean, if you want to go to, an Indian casino somewhere in California, you can go gamble, and, you're not going to get free drinks, and you're still going to pay a premium for the steakhouse, for this and that, and you're gambling. But to get the Las Vegas Strip experience, where you have casino after casino after casino, every show in town, you have the sports now, the A's, the Raiders, the Golden Knights. We're going to have basketball soon. Every single artist comes through Vegas and does shows. You have the residencies there's just so much, and you're not getting this experience anywhere else in the world. And I think the reason I'm talking about all this before we get into the actual real estate is because this is Las Vegas. I mean, you're buying or selling a home in this kind of a market. And yeah, this is unique to Las Vegas as far as these amenities. It's the entertainment capital of the world. And, and that brings up another point I'm going to put on my notes, and that is land scarcity. We're going to talk about as well a little bit in this video. So I guess this video is getting longer as we go, but if you're still sitting here, then you must enjoy me talking, or you want to hear what I have to say. So I appreciate you watching, and let's move forward. But yeah, the news is meant to get you interested. It's meant to make you click. I mean, when I make my thumbnails for my home tours, I want them to be as outrageous as possible. I can't make every thumbnail say, this is the greatest house I've ever seen in my life, right? That will get you to click on the home, but I can't do that over and over, because you're going to say, wait, this guy's full of it. He's not looking at the greatest home ever. He's just saying that to get me to click. And I'm just not that type of person. Like, I want to be transparent. Obviously, some homes I'm blown away by. Some are just mediocre. Excuse me. Probably have to drink some water here. I've been yapping so much already, and we're just getting started. Yeah, so be careful of what you consume or what you believe as far as the news or as far as headlines. You'll notice trends. It's like one person has a huge video on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, and it's about the water shortage, and then all of a sudden you're seeing it everywhere. And there's reasons for that. Number one, trends. People see that that's a hot topic, and they're going to jump on. Number two, the algorithm. The algorithm sees you as a viewer watching a video about Lake Mead's water source drying up, and then it's going to feed you more of those, because just like everybody else, Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or Instagram wants your eyes there as long as possible. They don't want you turning off your phone or turning off your TV. They don't want you going over to HBO to watch a movie. They don't want you flipping to a different social media platform. So, just be aware that everything is designed for your attention. So if you give something a little bit of attention, it's going to feed you more of that, and that is the nature of the algorithm. You watch a little clip of Lake Mead drying up, so they're going to tease another one in your face a few minutes later to see if you bite. And if you bite, they go, oh, okay, this is what this person likes. I'm going to feed them more and more of that. So you may feel inclined to, maybe not inclined is the right word, but you may get stuck in the loop where you just keep seeing that. And it's interesting, right? I mean, it's interesting. These news stories are definitely interesting. And I'm not going to take that away from them, but the reality versus what you're seeing, and this was always a thing growing up. It's like, don't believe what you see on TV, and it really is so important now that you just don't buy into everything you're seeing on the news and on these channels. And that's also going to lead into when is it the best time to buy a home for you as an individual, and that's what we're going to get to later, because that's kind of what's most important here. But let's talk about the state of the market. So that's enough about social media and these negative headlines, and all of this feeds into the state of the market right now. I want to sell houses, and if I'm being honest, I'm having the best year of my life. Interest rates are at an all-time high for the past decade. They haven't moved much. They've gone up. Haven't moved much in about 3 years now. We came off a historically low interest rate, which I think gave everyone a false reality of what interest rates were. Back in the 80s, early 80s, interest rates were 14%, 16%, I think even 18% at one time. So when they came back to 10, everyone's jumping on board and buying. It's all relative to what you think is the norm. So 2.1, you know, I don't think I saw 1 point anything, but 2.1, 2.25, these interest rates, they're things of the past. You're never going to see those again. Very specific reasons, and just keep that in mind. The average interest rate for all time, and I'll have to look this up again, but it was about 6.8 when you looked at the history of interest rates. It might even have been higher than that, but it definitely wasn't 5, you know? And that's kind of what people feel comfortable with. Oh, 5 point something, like that's the sweet spot. That's where we're going to buy a house, right? And we'll get into that. But I'm having, you know, the best year of my life this year with the highest interest rates, with, let's call it a slow market, right? A lot of doomsday news, a lot of, you know, don't buy, there's going to be a crash, or, you know, I'm waiting till next year. And as far as the waiting, let me touch on that real quick, because I've been hearing this. I'll be coming up on 10 years pretty soon in the business, and I've been hearing this since day one. I mean, it's always, I'm waiting for a better time. I'm waiting for a better time. And in the business, we call it objections or conditions for why you're not buying or selling or making your move, right? Everyone wants something better. Everyone wants something different from time to time. And an objection is just some reason why you can't do what you want to do. A condition is, you know, I'm retiring in January, or, you know, my son has to finish college and he'll be moving out in the fall, whatever it is, right? A condition, like a hard time frame. But the objections go on. There's endless amount of objections of why you're not going to do what you want to do. And at the bottom of that funnel, you take all of those objections and you boil it down to the root of the problem. It's fear, right? It's fear of making a change. It's fear of making the wrong decision. It's fear of buying today and then all of a sudden the bottom falls out of the market, you know? And we can talk about that on another video, and how to get over those fears and understand that, you know, maybe now is the best time to buy a home for you, and maybe it's not. We're going to talk about that later in this video. But at the end of all of those objections, it always boils down to fear. And I've been dealing with this for 10 years, and the fear of something better coming is always right around the corner. It doesn't matter the market, you know? I mean, people, when the interest rate was 2.75, they're going, wait a minute, I want to wait. I've seen the interest rate drop from 5.6 to 2.75 in the past 6 months. I'm going to wait till it's 1.75, right? How did that work out for you? Because guess what? You probably bought a house at 4.5. So, you know, these fears paralyze us in moving forward with our decisions, our moving, our selling, our buying. We also had a lock in the market after the pandemic. Not only were people buying houses like, you know, like they were giving them away for free, basically. I mean, you could get into $1 million house and have like a $3,000 payment. It was absolutely bananas at 2.25%. But there was a lot of refinances. All the lenders across the country were calling everyone with a mortgage, hey, you're paying 5.5%. How would you like to save $2,000 a month? All you gotta do is fill out this app. We'll take care of it. Here's your 2.5. Congratulations, you're in a new 30-year loan. Now, that really hurt the market there. Not so much the people buying in at 2.5. That really helped the home prices. That really helped the sellers. Great time to sell a home. I mean, I had a home that I listed, and we had a strategy where we would take the home. We wouldn't list it live on the market for about a week, and we'd have it on, we'd let everyone know. We'd advertise, basically, okay, this was before coming soon listing, which is another status that we use these days. But basically, we put it on the market and we'd say no showings until Saturday. So now there's like 4 or 5 days of people seeing this house online, calling their realtor, hey, I want to buy this house. What a great house. I mean, everyone's buying everything as fast as possible. That Saturday morning at 10 a.m. when you're opening up the house to start showings, you literally have 15 people in cars out front. And I remember I listed this one house. I had 17 offers the very first day it hit the market. And you can literally just go through and pick your best price. There was escalation clauses. I mean, and there's a lot of nuance to this video that I won't get into, like an escalation clause, but just know the market was insanely hot. But what really hurt the market was these 2.25% interest rate refis. Everyone's refinancing across the country, and as of about a year and a half, 2 years ago, 80% of America had mortgage rates under 4%. And what that really did to the market, and this will get into overpriced homes here in just a moment, but what it really did to the market was it made it so, now interest rates are 6%. You refinanced and you're under 4% statistically, probably closer to a 3.25. So you're going to take your 3.25 mortgage, you're going to sell your house, and you're going to move into maybe a more expensive house. You're going to end up paying more money for less house, and that was the problem. You could sell your $500,000 house at 3.5%, find a $600,000 house, you're going to pay more, and that $600,000 house is not going to be as big or as nice as your $500,000 house. We saw pretty significant home values, increasing over that time when everyone was buying up everything. So just because you didn't sell your house, all of your neighbors sold their houses, and they sold them for 30% more than they were worth the year before. So everyone's home prices went up and went crazy. So you, Mr. Homeowner, you bought your house in 2012. You've been sitting on this 5.5% mortgage. You've built up some equity. Now it's 2021, your lender calls. Gosh, I only have 20 years left on my mortgage, but man, I can save $2,000 a month or $2,500 a month by refinancing. Holy cow. Maybe the numbers are a little elevated, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go into that 2.5%. So now your home is worth, maybe double what it was when you bought it, and your mortgage is half the cost now. Yeah, you're stuck in another 30-year fixed, but now you can't go anywhere. You're stuck. You can't get that payment with that quality of house even close to what you paid or close to what you owe. So it really just hurt the market in the sense that we just didn't have inventory because no one was selling. And the people that were selling for overpriced. They were well over their market value because they felt their homes were still increasing. They saw a shortage of supply, and frankly, they just needed that number to make it make sense. And that's where we'll get into these overpriced homes. And I know we're 25 minutes in and I'm just on the first category, but I hope all this makes sense, and I hope this resonates with you and you can understand a little bit more about this is my life. I'm in this every day, all day. Homes, home prices, interest rates, buyers, sellers, real estate. I mean, it is my life. And so I'm in the trenches every day, seeing this in real time from real people with real experience and real data. So these overpriced homes. So this started, coming out of the pandemic and sellers thinking their home was worth more than it was, or just straight up, I don't have to sell my home unless I get this number, I won't sell it. And I can't tell you how many listings personally I've turned down over the past 3-4 years where sellers said, I don't have to sell, which is the first red flag for selling. I don't have to sell, and unless I get 660, I'm not selling my home. Well, sir or ma'am, your home's worth 500. Like 660 is a stretch, right? And I'm not going to list the home. I'm not going to spend the time, the money, create disappointment. Like, I don't want these people thinking I'm a bad realtor. I didn't sell their home for 660. So I'm going to be realistic and tell you what your home should sell for. And more, even better than that, I'm going to show you the data and say, what do you think based on these numbers, right? So sellers really thinking their home is worth more than it is, or testing the market, which is just like a thorn in my side. I've heard over and over, it's like, we're testing the market. We're testing the market. And I'll get into a whole home pricing video and how to price your home properly at another time. But that testing the market, I mean, so basically you're wasting a lot of people's time and you're just not going to get your number. With the interest rates where they're at, with people and the fears that they have and the news and the doomsday and all these things I talked about earlier, people are not just going to give you $100,000 over what your home should be worth. Buyers are more informed than they ever have been. I mean, this little website you may have heard of called Zillow has so much information on it. And then you have copycats, realtor.com, you have sold.com, you have Redfin, you have Trulia. I mean, you have all these different websites. You can get so much information. Not to mention our little friend ChatGPT or Claude. Hey, ChatGPT, I'm looking at this home on so Main Street. Could you run some comparables or tell me what that home should be worth? And then here's all your information about the home price. So the days of overpricing homes and selling them to a foolish buyer are long gone. And that's not even bringing in the appraisal issue. As you know, I mean, if it's a finance deal, most homes need an appraisal. The bank wants to know that their money's protected. So even though the home is worth $600 and you offered $700 and the bank says, yeah, we'll lend you the $700, no problem, here's your loan. But wait, before we give you the check, we're going to go look at that home and make sure that it's worth $700. And then they come back and they go, no, you're crazy, that's $600. So at that point, the seller has to lower their price, or the buyer has to come out of pocket for the difference, or somewhere in the middle. Maybe they split it 50 and 50. But in this market with almost 12,000 homes for sale right now, you're not going to spend $50,000 out of your pocket to buy a house unless you are just absolutely in love with the home. So are homes overpriced? Yeah, more homes than not are overpriced in this market. And almost everything on the MLS, if it's been on the market over 2 weeks, I'm telling you it's overpriced right now. I've personally sold homes in this market a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, within days of listing. Because homes that are priced right, homes that are beautiful, are going to still sell in a matter of days, a matter of hours. And if you don't believe me, my phone number's down there. Give me a call. I will send you a list. I could pull it up right now. I haven't even looked today, but I could pull you. I haven't looked for probably 6 weeks. I'll do a post every once in a while where I say, hey, here's a list of homes right here, and all of these homes sold within 0 to 1 days, and there's 75 of them over the past day. I haven't even looked right now, but I'm so confident. You call me, I will send you that list, and I know for a fact if I pull up the MLS right now and I search homes that are sold with 0 to 1 days on market, it will populate at least 60 to 100 of them. And that's in Las Vegas right now today. And that's always true in every market. It doesn't matter the market, doesn't matter what's happening, doesn't matter world events. None of this matters. A good deal, a good home will still sell in a day. And that also leads into when is the best time for you personally to buy a house, which we're gonna get to. So yeah, almost everything I see on the MLS is overpriced. My YouTube is riddled with comments of people going, hey, it's overpriced. Hey, it's overpriced. I wouldn't pay this much for it. And 30% of those comments are complete, pardon my French, complete bullshit. Like people just talking out of their, you know what, with no sense of reality, okay? But there's a lot of truth to a lot of those comments. But coming from me, you gotta understand, like a home I'm in right now, I toured this home yesterday. I can't sit here and say, you know, I talk to these agents, I get permission, you know, they can't give me permission to tour their home on YouTube and then I'm gonna come inside here and go, oh my gosh, this house is overpriced by at least $100,000. This home's not in the condition to sell, like it is not ready. Could you get $800,000 for this home? Yeah, and this is all hypothetical, of course. Could you get $800,000 for this home? Absolutely, but you would have to put $1,000 into it, which blows my mind anyways, but that's a whole nother pricing thing we'll talk about for another day. Spend money to make money. But I'm not gonna go in and dog these houses and say they're overpriced because no one's gonna let me film their houses anymore. You know, so if you're watching my channel and you watch my tours, if I'm not commenting on the price, then just assume, right? I'll tell you if it's a good deal or if I think the price is right. I do it all the time. But if I think the price is bananas, I'm not gonna say it. And I'm always looking for content. There are some homes I haven't toured because of the price, and I know, like, I don't wanna reflect badly on me. Some people don't understand that a lot of these homes are not my personal listings. I will tell you when they are, but everything I look at is overpriced. Right now you're getting seller concessions. The seller, let's say this house, $800,000. Let's say it's worth $775,000, right? Offer them $775,000 and then have them pay $25,000 of your closing costs. That's really where the deal is made. You want the closing costs, not the price off the home. Stay tuned to the interest rate section and I'll tell you why that is, but we want to write in the closing costs and we want to save you money out of your pocket at the closing table. Why are the homes overpriced? There's two reasons: sellers and real estate agents. And funny enough, it's the two people responsible for the price of the home and what the list price is. As far as the sellers though, we've pretty much talked about that. Everyone thinks their house is the best on the block. Everyone remembers how much it cost to put in these new floors 10 years ago. Everyone remembers that they spent, you know, $150,000 on their pool. Guess who doesn't care? The buyer. They don't care how much you spent on your pool. They don't care how much your floor cost 10 years ago. They don't care that you just had to replace the refrigerator last week because you didn't know you were moving and now you are. They don't care about that, right? These things don't matter to the buyer. And this is what I try to explain to the sellers. Like, let's come up with a real life value for your home, because you got to think like the buyer walking in. What are they going to spend on this place? So sellers always think they have the nicest home on the block. They always remember every little dime they spent on the home. And they think that it's still a market that's rising. Plus they have this little thing in their head going, well, you know, we could just get a little bit more money. We could afford a little bit more house, or we're moving here and we just, every little penny counts. I get it, right? And we want to maximize the sale. We want to maximize the amount of money you put in your pocket. And without getting too into pricing, I mean, you overprice your home, you're going to end up with less money than if you price it right. Much like the things I talked about. The buyer sees the home's been on the market for 50 days. They've seen you do 3 price reductions and they go, wow, we can get this home a lot cheaper than it's listed for. Yeah, I don't want to get into the whole pricing model and how we price homes and how to price it correctly, but Sellers are just saying we're pricing it too high. And sometimes there's a situation where they need that amount or they can't move, right? Okay, let's get that out in the, in the open, and let's understand what you need, and then I'll see if I can work with it. And if I can't, good luck. I can, and I've told this to I've told this to sellers before. I had a lady that was angry at me because, so I'm sitting in a house, getting out of my car to go do a tour, and some lady walks up to the front of my car, and she goes, "Are you the realtor?" I'm like, "I'm a realtor. I like to think of myself as the realtor." And she's like, "Oh, I was waiting on a realtor." So long story short, she wants to sell her townhome. I said, "Hey, I'd love to sell your townhome for you. Let's see what we can do." I don't just walk right in the door. I say, "What time can you meet me this afternoon? I need to go home. I need to do some research, need to pull comps, need to get some paperwork together. I'm going to your house with the intention to sign the paperwork and get your home listed. I'm not trying to come back and forth 5 times. Like, you want to sell your home? I can sell your home. Let's talk about it. If we're a good fit, let's sign the paperwork. Let's move forward." So I come back to the townhome. This townhome is in Sun City, Summerlin. And after looking at the comps, it's maybe worth $400,000, $405,000, kind of what I can gather. If it's like in original condition, maybe there's a ton of upgrades, but that's why we need to see the house in person. So I come over, I'm thinking about $400,000, $405,000. I've seen that she's had it listed twice with 2 different agents. It just expired, and she had it listed for $465,000 and then $455,000. $50,000, $60,000 overpriced. And so, I go in and I say, "Hey, here's the comparables, here's the market. You have a brand new flip, same exact model, right on the next block, and they're selling it for $425,000, and it's still on the market." Maybe it was $435,000, $445,000, I don't know. $445,000 would make more sense. This is a while ago. So either way, there's a brand new flip right down the road, same model, for cheaper than her home, and it's all new. And she says, "Well, I have to get $450,000 for my house. I can't sell it for you. There's no way we're gonna get $450,000. Like, it would be a miracle." Miracles do happen, right? But I'm not gonna take a chance on that. I gotta spend my time, I gotta spend my money, and like I said, expectation. I like to build relationships. I don't want some lady in Sun City bad mouthing me to the neighbors, going, "That guy sucks. He said he could sell it for $450,000 and no, we didn't even get any showings," right? So I'm realistic. She got mad at me. Like, she was angry at me. She was basically throwing me out of her house because I said, "Your house is only worth this. Like, look at the data. I have it right here printed out for you. How can you say your house is, well, we changed the carpet." Yeah, you spent 10 grand like 5 years ago, right? "Well, I'm in a financial bind. I can't do it. I'm gonna lose my house. I'm sorry. I don't want to set false expectation." But I said, what I will do, if you like, I can have about 5 people lined up at your door by this evening that are willing to list it for $450,000. Like, they'll do it all day long, in the hope that either they price reduce or a miracle happens, right? But it's not me. And that brings me to the next point, is agents. Agents are a big problem right now in Las Vegas in particular. There's 16 to 17,000 agents in Las Vegas right now. National Associations of Realtors, and I don't know how real this number is, but you've seen it thrown around, and when you look online, it does confirm it, but I just can't wrap my head around this number being right. But they say like 87% of licensed agents in 2026 have done 0 deals. That's frightening. And like I said earlier, I'm having the best year of my life right now. Like, I'm exceeding my typical production, and we still have 5 months to go. And that's with all of these situations, the world events, the war, the interest rates, it's all tied in together, right? But real estate agents, and my little example before is part of the problem. You have agents that, there's a little bug flying around, it's like a little gnat. So if I try to catch it. Agents are taking listings they shouldn't. It's happening all the time. And the MLS reflects that, the multiple listing service with all these overpriced homes. Because a lot of the times the agents should just say no. But they aren't, because they're needy. They haven't had any deals. They just want to get a listing signed, right? Just sign on the dotted line. At least I can feel like I did something this week. Agreeing with sellers and not having any seller control. And when I say seller control, you got to understand, I'm not saying that I'm going to trick the seller or make them do something they don't want to do. It's standing firm. I know how to sell a house. I know what people want to see. I know what people want. Let's change the light bulbs so they all match and they all are the same color. Let's get a deep clean on the house so when the buyer walks in, they go, ooh, it smells good. Wow, the floor is so clean. Look at this kitchen. Oh, the oven is so clean. Wow, the pool is sparkling clear. What a beautiful blue color. It's not green. You know, there's no like crayons sitting on the shelves in the closet. I mean, just little things. Or you know, I hate to use this home for an example, but and this is not a big deal, but there's kid chalk writing all over the block wall out here, right? 5 minutes with the hose and that's gone. You know, buyers don't want to, they see problems when they walk in, you know? Buyers don't come in here and go, oh, well, if I could just wash that wall off and just clean the oven and get a deep clean and then make it smell good, it could be a great home. Like, let's do that for them. And the agents just frankly aren't making that happen. And they're also letting the seller set prices too high. So there's this whole thing of not only are homes prices high, but there's a lot of homes that just aren't ready to show. I've had a few videos of recent where the pools are green. Just get the pool cleaned. Like, not this house, but let's say you're selling a house for $800,000 and maybe you're pushing the price. At least make sure the home is pristine and the home is show ready. You know, maybe there's a wall that just needs a little paint and it's a small wall. Just paint it, you know, like get the house ready to sell and price it right. Your only chance of pushing the price higher than your list price are in the first week, if that. After that, the home's stale and no one's going to give you your list price anymore. It's just a fact, and we just have to be realistic about pricing and about this market. So yeah, the state of the market in Las Vegas, 70% of the homes are overpriced, and that might be a low number. And the reason being is the agents and the sellers. Like, let's work together to sell houses. People who know how to sell houses, get them sold quickly, because there's so many little things that you need to do to get a home ready. And then of course, price rules everything. I've talked about this before. There's 4 things that sell a house. It's an acronym, CAPE, C-A-P-E. Condition, access, price, and exposure. Condition, access, price, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, that's you that controls that. What's the condition of the home? Did you wash the writing off of the wall? Did you power wash the driveway because of all the black marks in it? Did you, put smelly things in the house? Did you get the carpet shampooed? Did you get a deep clean? Did you paint that wall that's ugly? You have a red wall in your kitchen because you like red. Well, guess what? No one else does. Paint it white or paint it gray. Like these little things, like, that carpet in the, I had a friend that listed a home and this dog peed in this office all the time. And it smelled like pee. Beautiful $1.2 million house, but it had an office that smelled like pee. Rip out the carpet and put in some new carpet, right? Well, then the dog will pee in it again. Well, then control your dog until you sell the house. I mean, there's just so many little things. And if anyone's watching this video and you think, hey, that's me, I apologize. I'm not trying to call anyone out. I'm not saying your name, not saying your address if you are watching, but I just want these real life examples to kind of resonate with people so they can understand how this market still moves and how we make things happen. So yeah, so many overpriced houses. Realtors just need to say no. Sellers need to get realistic. And buyers are savvy and they know what they're doing. And with interest rates as high as they are, they don't want to just spend money to spend money. It's every penny counts, especially on the buyer side when you're looking at your monthly payment. So yeah, that's the situation with overpriced homes. I hope I kind of covered everything there. Seller greed, agents, no control, no willpower, no ability to say no. Is there going to be a market crash, right? Let's talk about this for just a moment. Is the market going to crash? And we've seen a market crash, and there's a very specific reason for that market crash. And to simplify it as much as possible, people bought a lot of homes they couldn't afford. And the banks were giving out mortgages knowing that people couldn't afford them. They were selling those mortgages they were packaging them and selling them as subprime mortgages to bigger companies who just looked at the overall scope of how much money they were making. So, you know, they were just kicking it down the road to the next person. And finally it caught up, and it caught up in the form of people not being able to pay their adjustable rate mortgage or their balloon payment, or however they were manipulating the banks and the loan system to get people into these loans that couldn't afford them. And for a while they could, and then it all caught up, and it all caught up to almost everyone in the same couple of years. And then we saw the foreclosures because home prices started dropping, and it was kind of a snowball effect with people not being able to pay their ARMs or their balloon payments. Then they foreclosed, then foreclosed homes hit the market, and the banks just wanted their money back, so they were dropping prices just to recoup some of their funds because they couldn't sell the homes, which caused neighbors' homes to lose their value. So when they foreclosed, they didn't have any equity. So it was just this big snowball of losing equity, not being able to make payments. The banks were just foreclosing all of these homes. So we saw this flood of real estate owned inventory hitting the market, and they were dropping prices because they were just saying, hey, we just need to recoup as much as possible. And it just caused this huge shitstorm of home prices dropping, the market crashing, too much inventory, banks competing with each other to sell homes. You know, you had 4 homes in the same neighborhood owned by 4 different banks. And this bank said, oh, I'll just drop the price here. And then this bank said, oh, I'll drop it a little lower than that. It was the perfect storm to create a market crash. In order to have a market crash, you have to have inventory, number one. And you have to have competing price reductions. And this happened on a mass scale across the country. Las Vegas was hit particularly hard with this because we run a higher percentage of tipped employees than most cities. And doing bank statement loans or stated income loans without actually proving the income, I know multiple people who bought multiple homes at a time when they probably shouldn't even have been able to buy one. They would buy 5 or 6 and they go, oh, we'll just foreclose on 5 of them. Yeah, hit particularly hard here in Las Vegas because of those tipped employees and just kind of the nature of the city. Will there be a market crash today? Obviously, no one knows the future. I'm going to say no. I'm going to go bold and say no. Check this back in 3 years and tell me if I was right. But I don't see a reason there's going to be a market crash. Yes, have prices come down? 100%. Prices are coming down every day. because you're seeing the homes that are overpriced, having to adjust their price to get to a point to sell. We talked about that earlier with the overpricing. So people are having to do price reductions. So you're seeing a lot of price reductions. You're seeing an overall price drop in the city of Las Vegas. Is that a crash? No. That's a correction to people getting realistic and getting to a price where the home should sell. Now, a single story home in Green Valley that's 2,000 square feet. Yes, it is worth $600,000. It's not worth $400,000. Like, stop telling me that. It's not, right? $625,000, $650,000, you got a pool. The sellers that are too high are having to come down. That's what you're seeing. And you're not seeing the homes that sell in a day, sell in 2 days. You're not seeing those. We talked about that earlier as well. So that's why there's not going to be a crash. There's not enough homes competing where people have to sell their home and they're fighting with each other and lowering prices. These price reductions are not coming from competition from, this neighbor, and this neighbor. They're coming from this neighbor going, I've been on the market for 6 months. I haven't seen any action. Let me lower the price a little bit. The last home I listed had 13 visitors in 4 days. And I can bring you a line of realtors that say none of my listings are seeing any action. I have 2 listings right now. They're both clearly overpriced because we're not getting any activity on them. But the sellers are not willing to drop their price. I guess I'm part of the problem. I have 2 overpriced listings. Did I know they were overpriced at the time? No, I didn't. There wasn't a lot of data to back it up. One of the listings actually I knew was overpriced, and I told him it was overpriced. And I was going into the listing understanding that they wanted to move and they were going to lower their price in increments every other week until we got to the price that sold. Well, after we got the listing, they didn't lower the price. And the market just dropped and dropped and dropped in that particular area, or more specifically, it was a high rise. So yes, I've done it. I'm not saying I'm above all of this. We do what we think is right at the time and based on the data. The other unit I have listed, I thought the price was good. I mean, looking at the market, looking at the comparables, looking at what it was, I thought it was a strong price. It wasn't. So I pushed for price reductions. We haven't gotten them, right? So, and I will tell you, look, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we don't have showings in the first week, your price is too high. If we don't have offers in the first week, your price is way too high. I mean, there's statistics, there's rules of thumb that you follow on these things. But everyone just wants as much money as possible. And at the end of the day, you're going to get less because you don't price it properly. But is there going to be a crash? I just don't see any reason for a crash. We are going to see more foreclosures coming up. That is going to happen. The reason we will see those is because some people are losing jobs. Some people buy a home, they can't afford the home anymore. So we are seeing a few foreclosures, a few short sales. As the economy moves forward, as AI takes jobs, as companies lay people off, all these things are going to create a little ripple in the real estate market. Wow, I've been talking for a while. Throat's a little dry. Thanks for being here. I hope this all makes sense to you. I hope I'm not just babbling on and these are actually relevant things. And like I said earlier, I've never done a video like this. I didn't know how long it's going to be, but if you watch my tours, you know that I got a lot to say. And you can definitely skip around this video to topics that interest you. So, crash, I don't see it happening. I just don't know why it would happen. Yes, we're seeing correction. Yes, we're seeing prices come down to where they should be. Crash would be prices dropping below what market value should be, and I don't know why you'd have to do that. You can still sell your home today if you price it right. Yeah, I want to get into more specific examples, but I don't want to alienate people. But yes, you drop your prices to the right price, you'll sell it right away. And I I tell people there's a price to sell it this afternoon, there's a price to sell it in a week, and there's a price to let it sit for 3 months. It's up to you. You choose, right? If you choose the 3-month price, then here's your price change sheet. I'm gonna hand that to you right now. We're gonna date them and we're gonna change the price right now. And then when 2 weeks goes by, I'll go ahead and fire this in there and we'll lower that price, all right? I mean, that's what it's gonna take. Let's talk about interest rates. Interest rates are, as of today, 6.65. We saw the highest interest rate in the past, like, gosh, couple years recently. I think there was 6.82, 6.85. And this is coming off of interest rates dropping to 5.98 on February 27th for about not even 48 hours. And if you look at your world history, you'll see, recent history, you'll see the war started almost immediately after that. Interest rate jumped up to 6.5. We've been fighting 6.5. We've been fighting 6.5 for 3 years. We started to see progress December, January, going into February. Traditionally, October, November, December are the lowest interest rates of the year. Just look at an interest rate chart, you'll see those dips every year at that time. Is it gonna happen this year? I really hope so, but we don't know. Nobody ever knows what's gonna happen. All we can do is look at the history, look at the data, and make our best decision, which is also gonna lead to when is it the best time to buy a home for you. Now, interest rates, this is kind of a cool thing to look at. We're at 6.65. Everyone thinks 5 point something is the magic number. Everyone in the business, the buyers I talk to, everyone says, oh, 5 point something, I'm in, you know? There's like 5 million pent up buyers that are waiting on the sidelines for the interest rate to do something or the home prices to do something. Las Vegas just posted the highest median home price ever in the history of Las Vegas last month. So with the price corrections, the overpriced homes, that tells you where the market's headed. Any average year and the average over time is about 3.5 to 5%, closer to 3.5% increase in home value every year. You gotta sit on it a while to get some equity. If you wanna buy a home and sell a home, you need 10% equity in that home to break even. So if you're gonna sit in a home for 3 years, you're not gonna make money. You might break even. 3.5 plus 3.5 plus 3.5, that's 10.5. That's 3 years, you're breaking even. So a lot of the times I'll talk to buyers and say, well, when do you plan on selling? Well, I'm just buying the house right now. I know, but it matters. If you're planning on moving in 2 years, you want to think about that because you're not going to make enough equity to sell your home. You have 6% to realtors on average, and then another 2.5 to 3% in title and closing costs. There you go. That's 9%. So interest rates are a funny thing because everyone looks at these like, oh, you know, they think about going from 5.5 to 2.25 and they think of all the savings. But I pulled up some numbers here for the reality of what interest rates are. So if you're buying a $500,000 home, and all of these 3 examples are $500,000 on the home, and you're putting 5% down, that's $25K. So basically you're financing $475,000. Closing costs cannot cover your down payment, by the way. That only covers closing costs, just so you know. And if you get too many closing costs, we can't use them all, you're gonna lose them. So just think about that as well. Closing costs on a $500,000 house, let's call it 15,000, give or take, 12 to 15,000. If you get 20,000 in closing costs and they can't use them all, we're gonna use them every way we can. You're just gonna lose the excess because you can't put it into your down payment. So $500,000 purchase price, $25,000 down, you're financing $475,000. Now I have 3 examples here, 6.75, 6.25, and 5.75. So half point increments on the way down. My voice is getting drier as we go here. So monthly P&I, principal and interest, at 6.75% on a $500,000 home, your monthly payment is $3,081. Now that half point you saved to get to 6.25, you'd think it'd be life-changing, right? Well, that same scenario at 6.25%, $2,925. So you're literally saving $150 a month for a half point, right? So what is that? That's $1,200, like $1,800 for the year. Am I doing the math right? That's a half point. And in just a moment, we'll talk about buying down your rate and why that matters, or if it matters, or when and why you should do that. And I know I'm packing a lot into this video, but I just want to give you everything right now. We'll get into more details, and I'll do more of these, I hope, if this one does well. And if you're liking what I'm doing, just give me a thumbs up down there. That's the only time I'll ask. Maybe at the end I'll ask again. So 6.25, $2,925. 6.75, $3,081. Now, drop down to the 5.75. Ooh, the magic number. Everybody's happy. Everyone's saving so much money. $2,772. So you're saving about $300 a month. That's $3,600 a year. And yeah, I know it matters. I'm not saying the money isn't a lot. I'm not saying $3,600 is not a lot of money for 1 year, especially over 30 years. But you're talking about a monthly payment from $3,081 to $2,772 does not seem like a huge deal for a whole point of interest rate on this price point. And yeah, I know it might be the difference between someone being able to afford the home and someone not being able to afford the home. We're talking $300 a month. You're paying roughly, $3,000 anyways, right? So $300 here or there. That's that 1 point interest rate magic number where the market's gonna go crazy. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna increase your home price, because if everyone comes out and starts buying up these homes because the interest rate's 5.75, now they're saving $300 a month, the home price is gonna jump up because there's gonna be more buyer competition. To get into buying the rate down, you can give the lender X amount of dollars to lower the rate by X amount of percentage. Easy to calculate if it makes sense or not. So let's look at this scenario, 6.75 for $3,081 a month, or 5.75 for $2,772 a month. Now to drop the interest rate 1 point, that's a pretty big cost to the lender. I'm just gonna throw a number out there. It's probably low, but let's say it costs you $10,000, right? It's probably closer to 15. Let's call it 15,000. I don't know, we'll have to talk to the lender to see exactly, because it always changes, depends on the loan type, there's a lot of variables. So you're gonna give $15,000 extra to save $300 a month. $3,600 a year. It's gonna take you 4.5 years to pay that back. In 4.5 years, do you think the interest rate's gonna drop below 5.75 and you can refinance or not? That's basically the simple math there. How long does it take to recover the money that you spent to lower the interest rate? And do you think the interest rate will drop lower than that by the time that you get to that point? Because if the interest rate drops to 5.5 by the end of next summer, you're gonna refinance and you're out $12,000. So I hope that makes sense. I can get into that in more detail another time. I'll make a video called closing costs, or buy down the interest rate, or lower the price of the home. What's the best, right? So every 0.5% of interest rate, so every half point, saves you about $150 a month. So are you willing to wait till everyone else wants to buy a home at the same time as you to save $150 a month, or to save $250 a month? It's up to you. We'll talk about that in a moment here. Now we're going to talk about home price, which kind of ties into all of this. So I have 3 examples here: 475,000, 525,000, or $575,000. So we did $50,000 increments, which would be kind of the market gets hot, your price goes up 50K because everyone wants to buy the same house. At the interest rate of 6.5%, so I'm giving you a little break from today's rate. Now, the difference in down payment between 475 and 575 is about $5,000. But what's your monthly payment on those price points? Now, this is interesting. So 475 at 6.5%, your monthly payment is $2,852. 525, your monthly payment is $3,152. So you've jumped up $300. And at 575, it's $3,453. So about $300 a month for every $50,000 borrowed at 6.5%. So in this scenario, if the price of the home goes up 100K, that's $600 a month. And I'm just throwing numbers out there for scale and so you can gauge kind of what's going on in the market. Is it more important to lower the price of the home? Is it more important to get closing costs? Is it more important to have a better interest rate? Lower interest rates equal higher home prices. That's just a fact. Okay? Lower home prices doesn't mean higher interest rates though. It's not the other way around. So I just wanted to give a little bit of this math here on what a home price actually does to your monthly payment when the home price changes. So the reason I say this is because if that interest rate does hit 5.75, the buyers are going to come out of the woodwork and there's going to be competition for that house you want to buy. And if you go back to, it won't be this extreme, but if you go back to 2021, 2022, and there's multiple people offering on a house, escalation clauses, you might pay $30,000 more than what you wanted to pay, which is going to increase your price by $200 a month. Hope all that makes sense. And I'll start to wrap this up here. That's interest rates in a nutshell. How much do they really matter? So again, at a 6.5, $50,000 is going to add $300 to your monthly bill of $50,000 borrowed. And at a $500,000 house, every half point is about 150 bucks. And I'm going to lose my voice soon, so I do have to wrap this up. Lake Mead, real fast. I was going to talk about the water shortage. Again, news, headlines. Some of it's BS. There is some truth to it. There's Hoover Dam shutting down news headlines now. Is it real? Is it not real? I don't know. I don't know. All I do know is what I see with my own eyes and what I know about Las Vegas. I'll tell you 2 things. Number 1, when I moved to Las Vegas, when I drove over the Hoover Dam, actually, yeah, no, this is even before. It's 1999, I'm moving to San Diego. And I drove a U-Haul from Dayton, Ohio to San Diego. And I crossed over the Hoover Dam. This is when that was the only way I crossed. And I looked at the Hoover Dam and I saw those pillars right by the dam where you see that magical picture where you have the water levels way down and you can see all the white on the rocks. You can see where those towers are, 60 feet above that wall. And then you see that picture from the 70s where the water level's up at the top near the top of the dam. That was in 2000 or 1999. It looks the same to me today. Take it for what it's worth. I don't know if the water builds up there. Maybe it's lower in other parts. I don't know. But that spot right there looks the exact same as when I was here in 1999 driving over that dam. And it's looked the same every time I've been there since. There have been water levels lowering. I know that for a fact too. But again, I know what I see with my eyes. And it's always been low since I moved out to San Diego and since I moved here. The other thing I'll tell you is there's 3 intakes for Lake Mead to go to the different states. You have a Nevada, you have an Arizona, and you have a California. And correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm getting this wrong, Please let me know in the comments. But from my understanding, if we're going to cut people off from water, Arizona gets cut off first, then California gets cut off, and then Nevada gets cut off last. So until Arizona gets cut off, I don't think there's anything to worry about. If that's true, then it seems like a pretty good indication. And Arizona's still getting water, California's still getting water, and we're the lowest intake. Also in Nevada, the Southern Nevada Water Authority, SNWA, I think that's what it's called, Southern Nevada Water Authority. We have the #1 water reclamation system in the world. 98% of all water indoors in Southern Nevada is reused and recycled. We lose very little water from what's already indoors. Casinos, residential, businesses, everything, 98%. That's pretty dang strong. They know we live in a desert. That alone is very reassuring that we're not going to run out of water. Because even if they stop the water, it would take a while before we ran out, right? I mean, they're not. In addition to that, like I mentioned earlier, Las Vegas is a tourist city. There's billions or trillions of dollars flying around on that Las Vegas strip between casinos, between resorts and you know, sports facilities and all of this stuff. There's so much money here. They're going to do whatever it takes and spend whatever it takes and create whatever it takes to keep water flowing, to keep electricity going, and to keep people coming in to feed their businesses. These billionaires are not just going to sit down and go, oh, well, I guess there's no water, let's just shut it down. So that's kind of my saving grace. That's my reassurance that nothing's going to happen to Las Vegas. They are going to keep this money machine pumping as long as humanly possible. If they have to build a pipeline from, you know, Seattle, Washington, and pull in their rainwater, they'll make it happen. They will do whatever it takes, because without water, without power, there is no Las Vegas. And if we've understood anything from this video, is money talks and BS walks, and follow the money and you'll find the answers. So I really feel personally, I don't think for a second about water. I don't worry about it. I live here. My business is here. If we ran out of water, I would have problems. My business would be gone. My home would be gone. My life would be gone, and I would have to move. And I don't worry about it one bit. So again, take it for what it is, or take it however you want to take it. But that's my thoughts on the water. And then that brings me to my final thought. And yes, I'll wrap it up. When is the best time for you to buy a home? And I can say this confidently, and this is to everyone who watches this video. The best time to buy a home, and I don't want to sound cheesy, and I don't want to feel like, you know, this big cliffhanger is just kind of like a letdown, but it's when it's right for you. And it's not the same for anyone. Give me 40 people in a room, and I'll tell you when the best time to buy for each of them is, and it's probably all going to be different. I will tell you this, the best time to plant a tree is 10 years ago or 20 years ago, and the second best time is today, right? Like obviously we should have started working out 5 years ago and we'd be so buff and jacked, and we haven't. So we could work out today, or we could go another 5 years and say, oh, well, I should have started 5 years ago, right? The best time to buy a house really is today, if it makes sense for you. So I will say that. It's not today for everyone, but if you're renting, if you're leasing, and you're worried about 6.5% interest rate, do you know what the interest rate on a lease or a rental is? 100%. So you're going to save 93.5% in interest by buying a home. Am I here to talk people into buying a home? No, I'm not. Do you have the money saved? Do you have the credit? Do you have a job? Like, sometimes renting makes more sense if you just need temporary, right? But for long term, you want to purchase. And don't worry about what the market's going to do. What you should be worried about, don't think about, oh, am I going to get equity in my home? Oh, is the interest rate going to change? No, look at today's home prices. Look at today's interest rate. Does that fit your budget? If it does, then buy the home today. I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and not one person has gone, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have bought that home. Like, I haven't heard that. I'm sure it happens. I'm sure there's a tiny percentage of people who bought the wrong home, or they hate their neighbor, whatever the reason is. But financially speaking, start putting the money back in your pocket. Interest rates are going to change. Refinance. It's fine, right? Let's say home prices do drop. Well, you're locked into your home. Like, the payment works for you. Don't worry about what's in the future, right? Because statistically speaking, historically speaking, home prices are going to continue to rise. And there's no reason or indication we see that they're not going to at this point. Now, I'm probably going to get a lot of arguments in the comments, and I'm not going to fight anyone or argue with you. Please leave me your comments, but I'm not going to try to rebut your commentary in the comments. Like, I'm not going to argue down there. But I do like to hear what you have to say. I know there's financial people, there's people older and wiser than me. There's people that, you know, have their finger on the pulse of world events, like whatever it is. But what we got to worry about is today, right? And if you're paying $2,500 for someone else's mortgage, wouldn't you rather pay for your own? And these are long-term investments. Yes, it takes almost 5 years for your house payment to start paying off that principal. It's almost all interest. Look at your amortization schedule. But that's just what you have to do, you know? Everyone who bought a home 20 years ago and they still have that home, they're really, really freaking happy they bought that home 20 years ago. You bought a home on the beach in LA for $20,000 in the 70s and you still have it, you're a multi-millionaire. I mean, inflation, time passes, all of a sudden you're in your house a year, all of a sudden you're there 5 years. I mean, time will move forward whether or not you buy a home. And the best time to buy is when it makes the most sense for you and you have an opportunity. That's all I'm going to say. And again, I will consult with you. I'm not going to tell you it's the best time to buy a house if it doesn't look like the best time. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you have some things to do first. Maybe you're planning on moving in a year out of state. Well, don't buy a house. You're just going to lose money, right? I'm not going to sit here and try to sell you on a house. But if you're ready, give me a call and let's talk. And maybe you're more ready than you think. Maybe you don't think you're ready. Let's get you with the lender. Let's find out how ready you are. Worst case, they can say, no, you're not ready, but do X, Y, Z, and you will be, right? The American dream, home ownership. And I'm not going to tell you it goes great for every single person who does it, but majority of the people it does. And the majority of the people set up their financial future and are really glad they made the purchase when they did. So yeah, is it right for you? I can't tell you. But if you have an opportunity and the budget makes sense, then just buy the house, right? That's what I'm going to say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this made a lot of sense. I know it went on for a really long time. In fact, my open house is almost over here. But leave me a thumbs up. I said I would ask again at the end. Give me a call if you want to talk. My phone number's down there. I just want to help you out. So as the camera's about to die because we've been talking for so long, thank you for watching. I'm going to do more kind of chopped up version of this, more specific on certain topics. So I hope you liked it. Please encourage me to do more if you did like it. That'll get me, you know, to make more of this content like this. But just me talking, no frills, no cool visuals, just a heart-to-heart with you. Hope it made sense. I look forward to seeing you on the next tour, and have a great weekend. Thank you.